Hey YouTube, Kiritwick here, bringing you all my White Forest Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profile. This is one of the new decks continuing the Diabellstar storyline from the Yu-Gi-Oh! Infinite Forbidden booster set. It's a Synchro variant on the deck that focuses on using the many different White Forest monsters combined with the spells that we received from the latest set, working with the different illusion and spellcaster monsters to perform these synchro summons, and also being able to make use of the toy engine for the back row setup that you can do for the destruction plays with the different monsters to gain extra effects for the toy box engine that we run that came out from the Terminal Revenge booster set. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So we'll go ahead and start off with the main deck monsters. For the White Forest monsters, we're running 3 copies of LZ of the White Forest. You can send 1 spell or trap from your hand or field to the graveyard to special summon this card from your hand. Then add 1 White Forest monster from your deck to your hand, except for LZ. During your opponent's turn, if a light spellcaster tuner is special summoned to your field while this card's in your graveyard, except during the damage step, you can add this card to your hand. You can only use each effect of LZ once per turn, so you have the add back power, the special summon setup on the field. You name it, this monster being a non-tuner just gives you a wide variety to use with our tuner monster setup that we have in the deck for summoning out some bigger monsters onto the field for those cards to use. It's a very, fun deck for sure. And just with the added support we have, you can use it with some of the other cards in the deck for that added power. One of the other White Forest main deck monsters we run is the Astellar of the White Forest. You can send 1 spell or trap from your hand or field to the graveyard to special summon 1 light caster tuner from your deck. If a spell or trap is sent to the graveyard to activate a monster effect while this card's in your graveyard, you can special summon this card. You can only use each effect of Stellar once per turn, but the special summon power just based on the spell and traps, just like with your use of LZ. For the add back power, if a light tuner is special summoned to the field, if you have the use of your spell and traps in the deck sent to the graveyard to activate a monster effect, then you have a Stellar's add back power as well. They all work very well together for the add back and special summon power that the deck is meant to do. The 3 ofs for the White Forest monsters are the 3 copies of Sylvie of the White Forest. If this card is normal or special summon, you can add 1 White Forest spell or trap from your deck to your hand. If this card is in your graveyard, quick effect, you can target a White Forest Synchro monster you control or in your graveyard, return to the extra deck, and if you do special summon this card, but negate its effects. So more add back power, but this one has to return 1 of the Synchro monsters, but then depending on the setup, you could always re-summon it back onto the field because the White Forest monsters have more of a specialization in activating their effects when they're special summoned. So then if you can just special summon back to the field again, you'll have that effect to be able to use. And also the 1 copy of Rusia of the White Forest. If you control a White Forest monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can send 1 spell or trap from your hand or field to the graveyard to draw 1 card. And you can send 1 spell or trap from your hand with this card if it's in the graveyard. Quick effect, you can target 1 White Forest Synchro monster you control or in the graveyard, return to the extra deck to special summon this card, but negates effects. So once again, another special summon option with this card, and then being able to just have more of an addition for that special summon from the hand. But we only run the 1 because you can add it off of other cards that we run in the deck back to your hand for you to reuse again. And the big recycle power is why we're also just running 1 number for each of the White Forest Synchro monsters to make use of as well. And then for the toy box engine, the 3 copies of Toy Soldier and the 1 copy of Toy Tank. They work with the actual toy box spell itself as well, with being able to set this card from your hand to the spell and trap card zone as a spell. You can only use each of the following effects of Toy Soldier once per turn. If this set card in the spell and trap card zone is sent to the graveyard, you can special summon this card. So there's your resource when you use it with the White Forest engine. It can just summon back onto the field as well. And then you can add 1 toy box from your deck to your hand if it's normal or special summon, giving you access to your spell, which can help for more of the play setup in the deck as well. And then Toy Tank having the same set option, and then being able to tribute 1 monster to special summon 1 level 6 or lower monster from your hand, or if you control a toy box, you can special summon 1 level 6 or lower monster from your graveyard. More resources to get back onto the field also. And then for the rest of the main deck monsters, just the hand trap lineup: 3 copies of Ash Blossom, 3 copies of Effect Veiler, and 3 copies of Droll Lockbird. They all just work well as a small synchro engine, so the rest of the spots in the deck can be filled with your use of your Droll Lockbirds, Ash Blossoms, and Effect Veilers, just for the hand trap spots for you to make use of in the deck also. And if you wanted to run any additional numbers of any of the White Forest, you could just drop down some of the hand trap options for these cards and then be able to, replace them for some of the other cards you run in the deck. That's it for the main deck monsters. We'll now move on to the spells. I run 2 copies of Tales of the White Forest. If you control an illusion or spellcaster monster, add 1 White Forest monster from your deck to your hand. If it's sent to the graveyard to activate a monster effect, you can set this card. So being able to use this card as the resource for your White Forest monsters and then just add it back to then use for its actual search effect is very handy as well. For this, you can only use each effect once per turn, but that's really all you need with the add back and set power. We also run 3 copies of Toy Box for the once per turn when an opponent's monster declares an attack. You can send 1 face down card you control to the graveyard, destroy that opponent's monster. So you can send your Toy Soldiers or your Toy Tank, and then from hand, deck face up in the monster zone and graveyard, choose up to 2 monsters with toy in their original name, set them into the spell and trap card zone, and also destroy up to 2 cards. With this card, you can activate one of these effects for destroying that opponent's monster and having the once per turn for one of the 2 to do, either destroying the toy monsters you set up or setting them up to use the effect later on. I also run 2 copies of Piraeus Map. With this card giving you search for either your Stellar or your LZ. So very, very useful for that search power. The 1 copy of Call by the Grave, along with the 1 copy of the Susurrus of Sinful Spoils. You target an illusion or spellcaster monster you control. Return that face-up monster to the hand or extra deck. Then special summon 1 illusion or spellcaster monster from your graveyard or banish. If this card is sent to the graveyard to activate a monster effect, you can set this card. So just grabbing another resource you may need off of the Susurrus is a big help as well, depending on if you need a tuner or a non-tuner. With the last of the spells being 3 copies of Forbidden Droplet, just having the send cost for a good number of cards, even if it's set in your spell and trap card zone. You can send off cards like Toy Soldier or your Toy Tank to gain those additional effects also. And then for the traps, 2 copies of Woes of the White Forest. Special summon 1 White Forest monster from your hand or deck. Then immediately after this effect resolves, you can Synchro summon 1 White Forest Synchro monster. If this card sent to the graveyard to activate a monster effect, you can set this card. More of that recycle power, but on top of just being able to give you special summon resources from the deck as well. And then rely on that Synchro summon for these cards, with the last of the traps being 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence, just along with the hand traps from before. It's a fine engine, just at 12 count to use with all the other White Forest engine and the Toy Box engine also. Moving on now to the Synchros, running the 1 copy of Diabelle, Queen of the White Forest. If this card Synchro summon using a tuner Synchro monster, you can target 1 spell trap in the graveyard, add to your hand. When your opponent activates a card effect, quick effect, you can send 1 spell trap from your hand or field to the graveyard to special summon 1 level 7 or lower tuner Synchro from your extra deck or graveyard or banishment. So grabbing you that level 7 or lower tuner Synchro from your extra deck as well is a big help for resources, just to be able to summon out onto the field depending on the monster that you want to use and summon out because of this card. The 1 copy of Reselia, Sinister Soul of the White Forest. If it's special summon, you can send a spell trap from your hand or field to the graveyard to add 1 White Forest card or 1 light spellcaster monster from your deck to your hand. Coins this effect once per turn. And illusion or spellcaster synchro monsters you control gain 500 attack, and they cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. With the last of the synchros being the 1 Silvera Wolf Tamer of the White Forest. If it's special summon, you can change all face-up monsters your opponent control to face down defense. And also, if they attack a defense monster, inflict double piercing battle damage to your opponent. More of the resource grab, thanks to both of these cards, reliant and also needed for you to then be able to go into your bigger Diabelle, Queen of the White Forest, for you want to get the most of the effect by using it to summon out with a Synchro monster on top of your other summons also. For more of the generic Synchro monsters, the 1 copy of Crimson Dragon to grab some other resources in the deck. The 1 Chaos Angel, the 1 Enigmaster Packbit for the new generic Synchro that we got from the Phantom Nightmare set, the 1 Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon for the additional level 8 Synchro options available to the deck using our non-tuner Synchro monsters, and also the 1 copy of Psyframe Lord Omega, the 1 copy of Shen Ying, and then additionally for the last couple spots, if you wanted to run some additional Synchro monsters or additional monsters for the Link engine, that just depends on what you may want to summon out in the deck for these spots as well. But for those additional options, I thought maybe 1 additional copy of 1 of the Signer Dragons, depending on what you wanted to place here. It could be Red Dragon Archfiend, Stardust Dragon, or even the Cosmic Blazar Dragon. You choose with that final spot for the added Synchro plays, with our Link lineup being the 1 copy of IP Masquerena, the 1 Lena the Light Charmer, the 1 Silhouette Rabbit, the 1 SP Little Knight, and the 1 Nightmare Unicorn to finish off the extra deck. And then as for some of the go-to plays, as I said before, with the toy engine being able to make use of your cards on the field, if you set the toy cards in your spell and trap card zone, and then being able to use cards like a Stellar to send a card from your field, a spell or trap, to the graveyard to special summon one light tuner monster, so from your deck, so you can summon out your Stellar, send the Toy Soldier, that'll give you the special summon of the Toy Soldier on the field, which can then also grab your toy box. The Stellar will then be able to summon out your bigger tuner monster to the field. Then you have your Synchro play in the form of that tuner monster and your other monster as well, summoning out your level 6 option, depending on which one you want to go for, whether it be your Roselia or your Silvera for both of those summons. Being a tuner monster, you also have the option then with the Toy Soldier on the field to then be able to go into some of your bigger synchros like your Shen Ying onto the field also. It all comes down to just the synchro play you want to go for and the send and setup you can do with your toy box monsters along with your White Forest monsters. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed, and as always, until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Twig out.